Hey everybody, thanks so much for tuning in for this game day tutorial. This week the winning look is the Auburn orange and blue look. So yeah, more orange even after Tennessee's look. I was going to get orange either way this week because it was Auburn up against Clemson, which is purple and orange. But what's interesting here is that I think if you wanted the Clemson look, just sub the blue stuff I'm using today in with purple and you can get that look as well. But I really do like the combination of the navy and the orange here. I had a lot of Illini fans, University of Illinois fans requesting the orange and blue, so here you go, you've got that as well. But this is kind of a complicated look. It required me to kind of go about some things in maybe a little different order than I might usually do them, just to make sure that we kept the orange nice and pure and bright in this look. So if you want to see how I went through it, keep on watching, and don't forget that there is always that game day poll on beautybroadcast.net. You can vote and decide what two teams that are facing off the following week. You can decide which one will be used as the game day tutorial. I just applied a primer to my lid that would really neutralize the color and even it out, and for that I used my Smashbox Photofinish lid primer. Perhaps a paint pot from MAC would kind of give you a similar effect, just really making the tone, any bluish or discoloration that comes through on your eyelid, really evening that out because we want this orange here to really pop. So that is the first step that we're going to do, and you're going to notice we're using a powder product now. We're going to come in with some cream products in a second, so it might be a little different sequence, but it's what we really need to do for this tricky look to make the orange pop and have a really dark shade all around it. Because, when you're working with silvers, grays, and blacks, all those colors can kind of blend one on top of the other, but here we want it to look pretty clean where that orange is. So one of the best oranges I have, other than like my double stack matte palette from Coastal Scents, is the Creative Me palette, which is a bunch of matte bright colors, and you can see a great orange right there in the corner. So I'm just going to use a flat eyeshadow brush, pack a little bit on the brush, and we just want to put this on the inner part here. So I'm just kind of patting it in, kind of build your way up to what you want, but we want all the way to the corner and then just the inner part. Next is where things get a little tricky. This is probably the trickiest part of the look. I'm going to take a cream pencil that's navy blue, and we're going to actually add that right here on this side, and we're going to sort of gently blend that to make this look really work here for us. So I'm using this pencil. It's from Coastal Scents, and if you look on the website, it's got two blue ends. We're going to use the darker of the two. This is really the only jumbo navy pencil I could come up with here. So I'm going to just kind of start drawing that basically. And you'll see, it's not a super dark blue, and that's good for right now. But it's going to help us really blend in. And I'm almost using a stippling effect as I sort of dot over, just over the edge of the orange. And then I'm just taking it out a little bit. I'm building it out sort of to practically an outer V. And then I'm going to take it under and line all the way underneath the eye. Just one line here. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can see there I basically drew on the outer V, and I drew this all the way in to the inner corner. That looks like kind of a fun like leopard look there, but we're actually going to go ahead and blend it out just using your finger. What I'm doing is I'm kind of like putting my finger on the edge of the orange and just pulling out that way. And then what you slowly start to get is sort of a look that's somewhat blended there. And just kind of dot it over the rest. Just the only reason why I'm really doing that out here is just to make sure there's not too much cream product and I don't get creasing. But yeah, then you're basically good. What you want is just, not a chunky look, not a look that lacks smoothness. You want it to just look kind of seamless there from one end to the other. And just by using your finger, that's really the best way to go. We're going to go to some shadow, and there is a really good blue in this palette right here in the lower corner. It looks a little darker in the palette than I think it might be coming off on camera. But I'm going to take a flat brush. This one happens to be from Sonia Kashuk. Get a little bit of that color on there, and then just kind of pat over the cream that we put there on the outside. And I'm mainly concentrating that on the outer corner and then kind of lightening my pressure as I get closer to the orange. Remember, we want the orange to be relatively untouched in this whole process. It's kind of like we're doing all this work around it, but we don't want that to have, you know, any bluish fallout on top of it. We want it to be really pure. So basically, yeah, we want to top that off there. Then I'm going to take a smaller crease brush. I'm going to use my fine crease brush from the Essence of Beauty Duo. Get a little bit of that blue on here. And really concentrate it in the outer corner, and then slowly and carefully bring it in to your crease. And as you can see at this point, I am going just over the orange, but I'm not going down into it. Just stay over the top. It's the Jet Set Waterproof eyeliner in Midnight Blue from Smashbox. So take a fine brush, whatever works for you, or you can use an angle brush, and we're going to take this all the way from the inner corner to the outer corner here on the upper lash line. When you're going under the orange, try to keep it extra thin, so as much of that color shows as possible. Now as I reach the outer corner and I've got this dark cream product, I'm just kind of pulling it out a little bit, thickening it up, and letting it just sort of fade into the rest of the blue. So it's not really that hard, but if you're using a small brush like I am, which you pretty much have to use for liner, I'm just taking short strokes outward and just allowing that product to blend into the blue that we've already put down. Where this waterproof liner really shines is when it's on your waterline, because it does really last well. So I'm just going to take a little bit more of that, gently pull down on my lower lash line, and just really quickly and easily apply that right there. And if you have any sort of gap, like if you notice it being kind of light, like you can see right there, there's light between the water line and the natural lash line. This is a great way to kind of just fill that in and just kind of smudge on top of there until it's all totally filled. Finally, using a liner brush, I'm going to go back to the blue shade here in the Creative Me palette, and just using an angle liner brush. That jumbo pencil, remember when we first went under here, it's very creamy, so I just want to make sure I've got some powder on top of that to set it. I get lots of questions about lower eyeliner and why it doesn't last, and that's because, you know, cream-based products are just going to tend to break down a little bit throughout the day and can pull downward, but if you set it with powder, you're going to have a much better shot at that lasting for you. Another thing you might want to do at this point is kind of take a final look at your eye here, and if you want to add any more blue, you can make this outer V as dramatic and big as you want. What I notice is the more product you have on your brush, keep in mind where you're first placing that, because that will be the most intense. So like I just had dipped it in and I put it right here at the outer corner where I wanted the most color, and then as you buff out, you know, it starts to look a little more gray, smoky, you know, that smoky, just dark effect. So it's kind of a common sense thing, but sometimes you do really need to pay attention where the first spot on your eye you place your brush right after you load it up with powder, because sometimes, you know, you can run into some problems there with getting it looking blended and everything. So now that I've got the application I want, just going to take a fluffy brush, really buff over all of that. Check out your orange, and if you feel like you need more, I feel like we kept it pretty clean. We didn't do a lot of overlapping there, so I'm going to keep that as is and take a light color for this. It's going to be my NYX Single in Aloha, which is just a really light kind of shimmery shade, and that's going to be what I just placed right up here under the high part of my brow, and just kind of blend that right over the border with the blue. For my mascara, I'm going to use my L'Oreal Voluminous Carbon Black on the upper lash line, just to give a lot of volume and a lot of darkness, because the navy blue is pretty dark in this look. This is one of the smokier looks that I've done for Gameday, so I want the lashes to be able to kind of compete with that and really stand out. And then on the bottom lash line, I'm using Maybelline Lash Discovery, a really tiny brush that's able to make you look like you've got a lot of lashes there, just because it highlights every one. So I'll put that on and I'll join you and let you know what's on my lips. Alright guys, here is the finished look on my game day tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun to do, but it kind of challenged me at the same time to try to work in a bright color like orange while working with darker shades too. Last week's with Tennessee was just this big wash of orange. It was really well blended, I thought, but this was kind of a, one more challenge to add to the mix. But just keep in mind that you can always take your school's colors and kind of sub them in for what I did if you like the pattern, if you like the concept behind it, and really switch it up and make it your own kind of look. On my lips, I just kind of found it, I thought it was fitting to use just a really light lip with this look because there's so much going on in the eye area. So what I first did was I took my MAC lipstick in Myth, which is just a really good lipstick to use to sort of erase any natural color in your lip and make it really nude, but at the same time I didn't want it to be quite that washed out, so I took my NYC lip liner pencil in Naughty Nude, which is just a little bit darker, and I just kind of went around it right at the top and on the sides, just kind of giving it a little more dimension so it didn't look like just one flat color. So just kind of worked that around the border and blended it in. And then for just a little shine, I used my Nars lip gloss in Greek Holiday, which is just a really, really kind of, it has some shimmer to it, but a really light kind of peachy gold. And that's basically how the look comes together. Go through your typical foundation routine, just make sure you use some bronzer and a little bit of a, like a dark peach contour. The CoverGirl Cheekers blush in Golden Pink was really good for, I think, kind of pulling this look together because it had that kind of warm peachy tone and then like a coral blush. Like the Milani Minerals in Mai Tai would be a really good choice for that, just kind of on the apples of your cheeks to give your face a little more color with that nude lip. But I hope you enjoyed it again. Thanks so much, and remember, you can vote on next week's look at beautybroadcast.net. Just look over towards the right hand side of the page as you scroll down and you will find the poll. So thanks a lot, guys, and have a great day.